Okay, so let's get back to the extraction tools. We were here at this photograph before, and what I'm going to do is what I would like to do, and that's why it's important to go back to look at your sketches. I'm going back and I'm going to see what I need that I would like to add to these particular pictorial elements. So what we're doing is simply going through the majority of what we call extraction tools. And today, this will be the quick mask. So I'd like to be able to put something on top of this chair. This is somewhat of a hyper-realist sort of impromptu composition just to show you the extraction tools. So I'm going to come here to this and I'm going to move my layers out. Remember, you can simply just close your layers for real estate. And a lot of you are on laptops, so that's very helpful just to simply close some of these tool windows so that you get more of your visuals, which are very important when you're trying to compose. So in the quick mask, here is the tool here. In the quick mask, what you want to do is right down here in the lower left corner, and you roll over, and it will say quick mask. And basically this tool, when you select it, let me turn the layers on first. When you select it, it turns the layer that you're working on to a color that is red so that you're well aware that it's on. Turn that back off. And again, as I have always said, be sure to duplicate your source of layers when they come in, because you don't want to have to bring it in again if you happen to erase something by accident. That really helps that situation. So I'm just going to duplicate. Again, I'm going to lock it, and then I'm going to turn it off so I know that I should be take more care about this layer if it's the last layer of a duplicate. And now I'm going to work on this layer. And you do have to select layers. So often when things are not working, it's often because you're on the wrong layer, or you have a selection that's live, which means the marching ants is blinking somewhere, and that could be one blink or it could be 100 blinks. Just do Control D. Control D turns off the software. It unselects, basically, is what it does. Okay, so let's go to the quick mask. So the rule of the quick mask, and this is going to be a nice short video because it's very straightforward. And of course, all of these have these tutorial rollovers, so you can really get to learn them on your own as well. But right away, when you select it, turns it on to red. Black paints, white erases. So right here, you want to go to your brush. And often when you're doing a composite like this, you do want to do a soft brush. So how do I know it's a soft brush? Well, you can see it's fuzzy up here. You can also select it, and you can see the hardness is 0. And if I went to hardness 100%, it's going to make an opaque hard edge brush. But I want a soft edge brush, and then the size so far is 90, and you can deselect off of it anywhere. And again, remember the brackets near your brush. Now, if you have the caps lock on, you're not going to see your brush, and that will drive you crazy. So just be sure your caps locks are off, and that you've got the right brush size that you want. So I'm doing by the brackets by the keyboard P. And what I want is I want this ice cream to be saved for the composite. So I'm just going to go along the edge quickly. So I'm hand doing it, and I can take my stylus and I can paint it as I'm doing it now. And I'm going around the edges very simply because I do want to blend everything at the time when I make the composite. So I'm kind of getting all the good, gooey, delicious stuff that I have here and making this become the composite that I want it to be, moving it up all the way around, all the way up here. That's good. Now what I'll do is I'll enlarge my brush, and then I will make it be solid because I definitely want everything to be hard edge inside, and it's a big piece, so I can make my brush large and I can go faster and so forth. So the soft edge will stay on the soft edge, but I'm taking care of this quickly, as you can see, getting it all. Now, if I make a mistake like that, all you have to do is reverse it back. And that is what I'm doing. So a white will erase your mistakes. And many, many people use this quick mask all the time. Pretty much, quite a bit. And let's get it bigger. Oops, I'm still on white. So I want to switch that up. Here's the arrow, just switch that up. And paint that black. Okay, and come back again. Making sure that I'm getting close to the edge. So you can see that there's a little stuff that's still not covered yet. And 100%. Moving it around. There we go. Get right to the edge. So I can be sure that I have everything, that I can go smaller. Get that up there as well. Shadows you can put on yourself. Oh, see, that didn't pick it up. So it's good to zoom in as well, but this is fine. Okay, once you're done, then you unhinge the quick mask. Now the quick mask knows that whatever you are painting, you want to keep. So it automatically inverses the marching ants for you. So that means I can simply go over to my keyboard and go to delete and hit delete. And there is the marching ants. And now I can bring this into my composite for the poster, which is this one. But the one thing I had forgotten to do, which is what you always have to remember when you're importing pictures into your composite, is what is the resolution of the incoming document, the incoming layer. I didn't check that, so let's do that now. It's never too late. Go to image size. Nope, 96 is not what I wanted. I wanted it to be 150. So now I'm going to do 150. And that means that it won't distort the image, but it will bring it to the resolution. And again, this is how we get multiple layers into Photoshop by simply drag and drop. So you have the tab up here, and you can mouse down as such. Have your picture behind your layout, the layout of the poster behind it. Go to your move tool, which is over here, and simply, and you do have to select the object, mouse down, drag, and you will see Photoshop will say, I've got it. And there, I'm happy with it. So I'm going to close this out, and I'm going to say, yes, please save. And it's going to save it as a PSD because there's 2 layers. So another thing that's very important to remember is that when you have images here that are being saved, you want to be sure that you don't overwrite the source of the file. So that's very important. And now you see I have it as my composite, and now I can lay this down onto the chair as if it was a hyperrealist composition. Now I can clean up a lot of these, you see the layers going all behind that? I can do that with what we call a path brush. So this is a tutorial that talked about the quick mask, which you saw was very easy, using the brush, paint with the black, erase with the white, and then it creates the marching ants for you. Now I want to kind of clean up the edges a little bit, so I can use the path tool. So that is often under Windows, as always, and often it's with the layers, but I don't see it with mine, so we'll bring this up. So often you'll see layers like this, and then you'll also see channels. We'll do channels next. Okay. All right, so now what I'm going to do is to look at layers. Now I have the layers here, and there they are. And again, you can get your marching ants by just hovering over the thumbnail in the image of the layers. And if you click Control while you're hovering and click in the thumbnail, the marching ants will snap to the object. So let's do that again. So you hover over the layer, Control key down on your keyboard, Control key down, hover, click the thumbnail, and the marching ants will appear. You can actually see this. The Photoshop tries to help to remind you that, again, if I hover and I click the key, it will show me the marching ants, saying, hey, I'll give you the marching ants if you click me. And there is the marching ants right there. So now what I want to do is I want to kind of clean up this line around the ice cream and so forth. So I'm going to go up here to Path. This is the vector tool that is within Photoshop. The other vector tool is right over here, the pen tool. Right over here on the toolbar, the pen tool is also a vector tool. But Path relates to the pen, and it's because we're always trying to get our marching ants, which is where we are. So we come up here to the toolbar and we make a working path. Now, by 5, it will give me a lot of details. Watch all the points. There you have all the points. But if you wanted something to be less points, you can come up here and do 2.0, which should be your default. And you see there is the cleanup right there. Now, the reason why we have this is for 2 reasons. One, you can begin to create silhouettes, such as shapes, icons, and use it to cut into photographs. We talked about creating different shapes with the marquee, and I'll show you that next. But right now I have a working path. This is only a preview of the path. If I wanted to save this, I would have to come up here and say Save Path. Now the path is going to be saved, just like my layers. Now I've got something in here that I don't really want. So let's try to get rid of that. So I'm going to come up here. I'm going to deselect. I'm going to select this and just hit delete. Because these are points and I can delete points. I'll select that again. And then when you select this and you get the marching ants and you say down here, I'm down here on the toolbar with the path. Let me bring this up to show you. So up here you have this lovely toolbar here, and always peruse tools. They kind of explain themselves. So here will give me the marching ants, and not the marching ants, the vector points. You can go back to the marching ants with that tool, back to the vector points right here. So again, you can make a working path. Now you see it kind of just slips and slides around here. So I could go back and I could save this, make another one, turn this off, come back to my layers, do the snap again, right? Let's open this up a little more. Do the snap again, hover, control key down, click within the thumbnail. There's the marching ants again. Now back to the path, make another one that's a little bit tighter like it was in the beginning, and go down to 0.5. That's the lowest it can go. And there is the path that gives a little bit more shape to what I want. Now what I want to show you, let's make a layer in here so you can see this. I'm going to make a layer, put it below it. Remember, you can manually do this. And I'm going to just fill it up with a color I don't have, because I want to see what the marching ants are going to do for me, the path. So let me just fill this as a layer. So now I really can see my edges. Let's get a little darker one so you can see it. Let's go to blue. Yeah. And fill the bucket. See, now you can really see this path that I want to be cleaning up with, which is what I'm going to show you next. Okay, so the points are pretty tight here. So let's do this again. And now I am going to go back up to this, which is the path with the ice cream. Back to my path. And I have the working path. I'll save this again. Save path. This is path 2. And now I'm going to get the brush. And what this means is that this brush is going to travel all the way around where this vector is to clean my edges. How do I know that? Because if you hover over this, it says stroke path with brush. So that means that this brush could either paint a line, a color, or it could erase. But I would have to turn my brush into a mode, which is up here, to clear. We'll talk about modes in another tutorial, lots to talk about in Photoshop. So now I have it clear, and I want to get my brush down. Let's get this brush to be what I want it to be. Yeah, I selected it to get it down. So now this is going to travel, and it actually travels on the inside. So now I'll go a little, it's going to probably eat a little into my ice cream because this is really hovering the edge here. Over here, it'll be fine. And the brush probably is hard. Let's make it soft first. Okay, and so now I have that. Deselect somewhere above to get rid of that the brush window. And now I have this selected right here. So path is selected, brush is selected, mode clear is selected, and now I come down here and I toggle this. And now I have just erased that edge. And what it hasn't done, now you see it hasn't done this edge here. Let's go zoom in. Let's get a better background. If I get a better background, you will see it better, and which is why the background is so important. Let's change that background to black. That should really make it pop. There you go. So now you can see that the edge over here, let's turn the path. Here is the path. I'm going to turn the path off. So if you want to see the path, you turn it on. You want to turn it off, you unselect it. So I want to select it. I want to turn the marching ants on. I'll view, zoom out, fit on screen, just like that. See? And now when I inverse this, it's going from the edge to the edge of the paper, zoom in, and what it will do is get rid of the outside. And now I hit delete. Well, I am on the black layer. Always check your layers. I was on this layer, go to this layer, and now watch what happens. I hit delete, and that takes away the cleanup that was outside of the brush. And there again, yes, there that those dots did not get deleted. It came back when I did an undo. And so it came back. But you see now my edges are much cleaner, right? And here I made a mistake, right? So a quick way to clean up a mistake is go to your good old photo retouching tools. Now I do have a video on photo retouching tools, so do be sure to utilize that. So what I'm gonna do, let's get this brush to be a little smaller. I'm going to come here to my tool. The patch tool is great. So all I have to do is circle the area that I want to improve upon, stay within here on the tool, and I'm just gonna push. And then that pushes away. Now, here, I can do content aware, or I could just do normal. Let's do that again. Nope, did not replace it. Let's do content aware. Structure, right, good, 4. And now it's going to blend is what it's going to do. And it got rid of what I wanted, which is great. Now, if you wanted to bring some of this stuff over here, really one of the easiest ways to do that, again, using your photo retouching tool, come up to the healing brush. Let's get it smaller. And what you want to do is Alt key. As you can see, Alt key gives you a target. So I'm picking that up, and you see now I can bring this over, and now I can place that to give it a little bit more of what I want. Now, again, and then Control D to get rid of things, or Escape is another one. Go back to the tools, and now you don't forget more tools to find. If you mouse down on all of these layers, you will find things that you go, oh, nice, smudge tool. I could use that. Smudge does exactly what it says. Brush is too big. And there is the strength. So you can do 100%, or you could lower it, and then you're really doing some nice touch-up. You're just blending. And that's what I wanted to do. So now I'll zoom out. And you can also do Sharpen. But let's zoom out first to show you what this has done. So I was zoomed in all the way into here, and you see that sometimes you might want to sharpen, and there is the sharp tool, and it gives you 100%. And what it does is it just creates contrast, because contrast gives you the ability to show things are in focus. So it's kind of nice when you have a little bit too much of a blurry situation. As you can see, I'm really highlighting some things to make them feel like they're really crisp and in focus, even though they are not. So that's a nice little tool. You do have to be careful though in print. It can make some other things. Now on over here, as you can see, that's why you notice I have another layer behind this, because it's hard to see the layer when it's like this, right? You really need that black contrast to see. So I could come up here and go to my eraser tool. And now, again, I want the soft edge. I can come in here really tiny and just clean it up a little bit more manually. So I'm going to take my stylus, mouse down, and use the mouse pad as what this is. Zoom doesn't like that. Okay, so now you see I'm just cleaning things up a little bit more. And then of course I can make my drop shadows, which is in there. Go all the way around because luckily my seat of my chair is also white. So this is all good. And I'm simply erasing it. And that is what we call our mask tool. Okay, see you in the next video. Next video we will be doing more than likely some more tools for extracting, and we'll get back to the path tool and we'll review as well. Remember, if you have any questions about a tool, email me. That's all you have to do. Just email me.